So now we're going to do an unboxing video of the armor I got today. This will be the part of the first video in a series of me working on my Biker Scout armor from Star Wars. This is going to be my newest 501st approved costume eventually. I bought it from a friend locally who was selling some 3D printed stuff, or rather, who had the 3D printed armor, didn't really know what to do with because it didn't quite fit. And since I wanted to work on a Scout, and I really didn't like the armor that I'd bought from some guy in South America a few years ago, I decided to drop the money on the 3D printed stuff. So let's go see how that ends up. As you can see, I haven't touched it other than just removing that shipping label to prevent any identity issues. Brand new, or not brand new, but at the very least, I haven't seen inside the box yet. Well, looks like there's quite a bit of plastic in here. Both literally in the form of the armor that's going to end up coming out of it, because, you know, that's of course 3D printed in plastic, as well as the shipping material. But I rather enjoy the fact that it's all so well packed, and yeah. I'm not sure, I mean, I know what this is, I've seen it before and stuff, but it's interesting. And it will be interesting to eventually compare the size of these things to the, I think these are knees, to the 3D print, to the ABS vacuum form stuff that I bought a few years ago. But yeah, I'm gonna have to end up doing some cleanup on these, obviously, and figure out a good way to get into all the little nooks and crannies to deal with sanding, because the external surfaces have to be, because it's 3D printed, completely smooth and stuff, and I'm gonna have to deal with painting all of that, but it's there, it's here, so I'm super excited. First thing we're gonna really do is just unpack everything. I'm doing my best to trust that, you know, all the pieces are there, just because I don't know all the pieces just yet. This is what this looks like. This has actually already been pretty well smoothed out, and at least gotten at least one coat of black, or maybe this is just the XTC that he used. But even this is going to need a good sanding just to get rid of some bumps. So for those of you who are wondering what it takes to finish 3D printing and all of that stuff, I will be doing a video on that at some point as well, or I already have, and you know, you're watching, and this is after that, or you're watching this after that. Another piece of the this I know is part of the belt, and you can see the gloss on there is probably from a coat of XTC finish or something akin to it. Whereas something like this, which is the chest piece, is somewhat smooth in some places, but then there are other places, like up here, where it's not been smoothed at all. And then you can see it looks like he put it together with some fiberglass and resin on the seams, which is cool. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to go through and do some real sanding on this before it's ready for the paint, especially since the paint that for the stuff I want to use is the high gloss white paint. These I know are arm pieces, and judging just by the arm pieces, it looks like it's about the right size. And honestly, if anything isn't sized properly for me, it should not be too difficult to go and print up, or to get this, you know, to find a friend who can run off a print for me. But yeah, this is really freaking sweet. I'm super excited. I might even do change my mind and do a Shadow Scout, since this is all black, and you know, it's gonna definitely be easier to hide any of those blemishes. But for right now, I'm planning to do just the plain classic white Scout, and this is always my favorite part of a build. This is the helmet. This is obviously the helmet, what those of us in the costume community call a bucket. For obvious reasons, it looks like a bucket. It's got a nice weight to it too, but nothing super heavy, because it's not resin cast or anything. But as you can see, if I get this tape off, once I get this tape off, I should say. So what you're seeing is the black is all 3D printed, and the dome of it and the body of the helmet is also 3D printed, which you can definitely see from from looking inside, even though it's packed tight with packing material. Thank you, by the way, to my buddy who sent this to me and for packing it so well. But this is what's called Bondo. It's primarily used as a car filler, or rather its intended purpose is a car filler, but those of us in the costume community use it as a good hard filler for things like cracks, and it's a great way to really get a smooth finish and a nice finish on prints. I personally don't like to use it much, just because it does get very, very heavy very, very quickly. This looks like a first, maybe a second coat went on, but I'm gonna probably end up sanding it down to as you know, just to get it really, really smooth. I'm gonna end up probably ending at the end having to go through and sand probably up to about 1,000 grit sandpaper with this, but that's going to be later videos, obviously. And the nicest part about the Scout helmet, and one of the things that kind of drove me to, or that drew me to it in the first place, is, as you can see, I was just playing with it. This opens right up the top. So now, you know, we're gonna pull this all out, and again, as you can see on the inside, it looks like he fiberglassed the seams, which is a great way to reinforce things. But like I said, this has a nice weight to it. One of the nice things about 3D prints is that there's a little bit that you don't get in the vacuform stuff, is that there's a little bit of depth and thickness to the material. So like this, so what I think what I'm gonna want to do is end up putting some magnets on the insides here to really kick it closed when I get to that point. So that's the bucket, and this is going to be the first thing I work on, because A, it's already, you know, a good chunk of the way there, and B, that's kind of what inspires me. And it's, you know, I can finish the bucket, I'll get it painted, and I'll get it looking really, really clean and nice, and I'll put it up on a shelf, and then it'll start staring at me, and I'll feel really, really guilty because, you know, the bucket looks great, but I don't have the armor to wear with it. So we're going to cut to a shot pretty soon of me trying on the bucket and probably giggling, because I'm super excited. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. More stuff in here, just kind of going through, unpacking stuff. It looks like it's all here. So thank you very much to my buddy who here. This is a good raw print. You can kind of see the various levels of finish and stuff. You know, from this part right here, which is just exactly, it's just pretty much what you'd expect to come off of a printer. You know, it looks relatively smooth, but even in this light, you can see the print lines. Nice thing about the black filament is that some of that does get hidden, or you don't really see that contrast. One thing I do want to point out is the bottom of this. You can see over here where the print kind of went a little wonky. Maybe, yeah, there we go. And there's some massive gapping down there, and what's going to end up having to happen is I'm going to have to go in with something like Bondo and to smooth that out. Otherwise, it's going to take, you know, 10, 12 layers of paint to really get it smooth. But I'll go in with something like Bondo oh yeah, probably Bondo or something like it, some type of spot putty to really fill that in. I've mentioned XTC a few times, which is another two-part resin-based filler material that a lot of 3D printers, or a lot of 3D print makers use to fill in stuff. Let's see what else is in here. Here we go. This is the leg piece with the blaster holster. That'll go right there on the boot. And again, judging by the size of it and compared to my leg, this looks like it's the right size for everything. Yes, this is another iconic piece of Scout Trooper. This is the Scout Trooper costume. This is part of the backpack, or the back part of the armor that they wear. It kind of mounts to this, I think, like this, I believe, basically. That's right there. And you can see he's gone over it once with Bondo already. This all came about because we had a virtual armor party during this whole coronavirus thing, and he had the bucket sitting behind him over his shoulder, and I mentioned I wanted to work on one. He's like, well, you know, I'm not really doing anything with it, and I just kind of up and offered to buy it if he wanted to sell it, just to, you know, kind of out of the blue. I was not actually expecting him to say yes. he did. So I spent some money and got some nice armor. I was able to help a friend out during the shutdown and everything. That rustling you hear is my cat playing with some of the packing material. And this is a box of small pieces. So let's see what's in there. Opening the box the wrong way. Oh yeah, there we go. Just little pieces. Little things that, you know, this is all stuff that you can kind of see some error in it, and it's not the cleanest stuff in the world, which is fine. You know, the inside edge doesn't have to be clean. Nobody's going to see it. In fact, I kind of like that about some 3D prints is that, you know, if you don't clean up the inside edge a lot, it just kind of gives it some character. I'm packing this back up in a horrible way, I'm sure. But right now, all I really need to do is get everything except for the bucket back in. The bucket, because like a child, I want to play with it. Yeah, thanks for watching.